Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ. Special counsel Robert Mueller breaks his silence after 2 years.
Today, he publicly explained his decision not to rule on obstruction of justice, but he made it clear he also did not exonerate President Trump.
CBS News correspondent Nicole Killian has more from the White House.
Special counsel Robert Mueller made his first and possibly last public statement on the Russia investigation.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
Mueller's roughly 10-minute prepared statement renewed discussion among leading congressional Democrats who are considering their next steps.
With respect to impeachment question, at this point, all options are on the table, and nothing should be ruled out.
We are on a path that we would hope that if it is justified for the impeachment, that it would be clear to the Senate as well.
Mueller said he was unable to exonerate the president of obstruction of justice, echoing what he wrote in his more than 400-page report. And he said Justice Department policy would not allow a sitting president to be charged with a crime.
The opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing.
The president and his administration have repeatedly claimed the Mueller report clears him of obstruction.
We think the president has been fully and completely exonerated.
After Mueller's comments, the president tweeted, "There was insufficient evidence, and therefore in our country, a person is innocent." At a college commencement in New York City, Hillary Clinton touched on the Russia investigation.
It seems absolutely clear that we've got to deal with what has been investigated and reported.
As for Mueller, he says his investigation is finished and he is resigning from the Justice Department to return to private life. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Well, in his statement, Mueller said there were multiple systematic efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. And this afternoon, Montana Governor and Democratic candidate for President Steve Bullock released his own response to the special counsel's press conference.
He mentioned his past service as Montana's Attorney General in his analysis of the speech, saying he knows no individual is above the law. He went on to say Congress should fulfill its constitutionally empowered oversight of this administration, and the president and his staff have an obligation to be responsive to those investigations.
Well, Cooney State Park opened for a very brief 2019 season so far. The reservoir opened Saturday, but it's now under temporary emergency closure due to flooding. Water flowing out of the Cooney Reservoir into the spillway. The boat ramps and campgrounds are all around there are closed. Park management said some roads were flooded yesterday. People were getting around the reservoir, but not into picnic areas and campgrounds. Some still enjoying the fishing, though, and others found places to relax.
I wasn't expecting to drive all the way across the lake just to see all of our favorite spots shut down and having to drive all the way back and finding a random spot to just chill. I was really surprised to find the trees underwater.
The mud sinks a lot more. I was gonna go swimming, but every area was closed, so we just kind of decided to come out here and sit down for a minute.
Well, Rock Creek through Joliet is a little higher, but the Carbon County DES coordinator says there's not been any flooding. And the Yellowstone has been flowing higher and faster, but we haven't heard of any major flooding either. As for Cooney reopening, park management says the closure will remain in effect until water levels recede.
Well, turning to weather, we're joined by Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire, and it's pretty hazy out there, Bob.
Yeah, I guess we can really say that Canada's full of hot air.
Yeah, that's kind of the case. They've got a lot of wildfires up in Canada, northern Alberta, and it's sending a lot of smoke our way. We have a special graphic. It's a satellite imagery of the smoke. Now, we covered the smoke green so it would show up a little bit better, but as you can see, it is just wafting its way down into the northern half of the state, into eastern Montana, and some of that smoke is starting to make its way into the Billings area. Now, you'll notice we show you this graphic here to show you just how thick and dense the smoke was. It's generally light and moderate across Montana and into the Billings area. Most of the heavy, denser smoke, that's still up across Saskatchewan and also Alberta, Canada, up in that area. And so that's the way it is. And as you see, even in Wyoming, nothing but clear blue skies out there today. We're expecting to see some hazy conditions again tomorrow. We'll have more on that in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. As Bob just said, as the wildfires continue to ravage parts of Canada, the smoke and haze is filtering into Montana tonight. Nearly 5,000 people have been forced to evacuate in the area of Alberta. The early season wildfire reaching more than 200,000 acres burned. As you may have noticed, smoke from those fires now circulating down into our state. As of tonight, the smoke is up higher in the atmosphere, which means it is not impacting air quality.
A Yellowstone National Park concession employee is recovering tonight after being injured by a cow elk at Mammoth Hot Springs. Happened in what Yellowstone officials say is a developed area of Mammoth early this morning. The female employee was taken to a local hospital by ambulance, but a park spokesperson declined to comment on her injuries or condition. However, park officials are taking this time to advise visitors to stay 25 feet away from wildlife, as elk calves are often bedded near buildings and vehicles. Wildlife biologists hazed that cow elk out of the area where it was reunited with its calf.
Well, a month ago, Governor Steve Bullock vetoed a bill that changed the definition of wild bison in Montana.
Now, Secretary of State Corey Stapleton says that veto doesn't count and that bill has become law. Stapleton announced his decision on Twitter today, but Governor Bullock's office says Stapleton's interpretation of the law is wrong and that the veto properly killed the bill. Bullock clearly vetoed the bill within 10 days of receiving it as required by law. His April 29th veto message says the bison definition contained in House Bill 132 would threaten bison hunts and create confusion in bison management.
But Stapleton says today the veto notification wasn't officially returned to his office until well past a 10-day deadline, and therefore the bill is now law. Bullock's office says no such 10-day requirement exists for a veto notice delivery. In the words of Bullock's press secretary, the law is clear on our side. The governor vetoed the bill.
Now, what's not clear is how this dispute will be settled if neither side changes their respective position.
Well, bargain direct flights from Denver to Billings and back take off tomorrow. Frontier Airlines will land its first flight from Denver tomorrow afternoon right here and then turn around about an hour later and celebrate another full flight of at least 180 passengers headed back to the Mile High City. Now, right now, the direct Frontier flights are scheduled for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Billings Logan International Airport announced the new year-round flight in January, calling it a win-win for the airlines and the community.
You will soon be paying more for water and sewer service in Billings. Last night, Billings City Council voted unanimously to hike rates beginning on July 1st. The average single-family home would see an increase of $2.80 per month on their water bill and another 78 cents per month on their wastewater bill. On July 1st of 2020, the average single-family home would see an additional increase of $1.82 per month on their water bill and an average increase of 65 cents per month on their wastewater bill. Businesses will be hit with about a 3% increase for their water, and high-strength commercial businesses will see their wastewater rate go up 24% this year. The rate increase will also cover costs to finish a new wastewater treatment facility in the Heights, as well as the construction of the water reservoir and treatment plant on the city's west end.
Well, a second water treatment plant is now being proposed in Butte to help reduce the level of water in the Berkeley pit in the event of an emergency. The Atlantic Richfield Company intends to build the new plant off of Shields Avenue. It would pull more toxic water from the pit if there is ever a breach in the dam that holds the water in the tailings pond. Now, this new plant would prevent the pit from overflowing.
And that is to build a redundant water treatment plant for the Berkeley pit that would be used to draw the water in the pit down in the highly unlikely event there was ever a dam breach.
If the Environmental Protection Agency approves the project, the new plant could be ready by 2021.
Well, Jeopardy host Alex Trebek says his doctor says that he is in near remission after being diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer back in March.
The 78-year-old tells People magazine he's responding very well to chemotherapy, and doctors have told him they don't remember ever seeing someone respond so positively to the treatments. Now, Trebek announced his diagnosis in March, but hasn't missed a beat.
Now, he said he planned to beat the disease's low survival rate with the love and support of family and friends and with prayers from viewers. Trebek says he still has several more rounds of treatment to hopefully get into full remission. It's pretty encouraging news.
Awesome. Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, it's a program to show a real side of Montana. We take a look at how it's growing the next generation of agriculturists.
Plus, the gift that gave one toddler a new chance at life and his mom new hope for his future.
And later in sports, Weibo didn't seem to mind the move down to 6-man. Coming up, we'll hear from the champs as they get back together this week.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.